Now, no matter what you do, you're going to need a template for your hair system, whether you get a stock unit or a custom unit, because this is what you're going to cut your hair system down to, or LaVivid's custom service will cut it down to make sure that way it's a perfect matchup to your specific hair loss. We all have different types of hair loss, and it's all different shapes and sizes, and it's all okay. Creating a template will allow you to have a unit that keeps the most of your hair that has been unaffected as possible, and have just the right amount of hair system to cover what you do not have for hair. So let's jump into how to make a hair system template. All right, so now we are actually going to make a template, and I'm gonna use my mannequin head here instead of doing it on myself. Now, I know a lot of you watching this are probably going to be doing it on yourself, so I'll be talking you through what that is going to look like and what are some of the challenges that you're gonna face as I'm doing it here on the mannequin. And the reason that I'm gonna do it on this mannequin right here is it would be very hard to film and make sure that you're seeing exactly what I do. If I do it on myself, my hands will be in front of my face. So what you're gonna need in order to do this right here is you're first gonna need some saran wrap or some plastic wrap like I have here. You're gonna need a Sharpie. And the other thing that you are going to need is some packing tape or some Scotch tape, basically tape that is clear. Those are the three things that you're going to need in order to make your template, okay? And it's as simple as that. It's not a very hard thing to do, but what you will need if you're doing this yourself is a set of mirrors. You're gonna need a mirror on the wall in front of you, and then you will probably need a hand mirror. And I will show you at the end of the video how you're going to have to do this on yourself. Now, it is much, much easier to do this if you do it with another person. This is one of the few things I recommend that if you can have somebody help you with, because it will simplify your life so much and make it so much easier. All right, so let's begin, shall we? All right, so you're gonna begin by pulling out a generous amount of saran wrap, and you're going to fold it off of the, tear it out. And you may need 1 to 2 pieces depending on how big your individual scalp is. I'm going to use 2 just to demonstrate what this is going to look and feel like. So the first one, you're going to make sure that it covers the front of your forehead, okay? So beyond where you actually believe your front hairline is. And I'll tell you how to find your hairline in just a moment. So we're gonna lay it down like this, and we'll work on getting this perfect in a second, but we're gonna make sure that it's nice and tight to the scalp, which you'll wanna do on yourself. And we're going to get another piece of saran wrap, okay? So what we're gonna begin to do is cover all of the scalp that we are going to actually be concerned with as far as what we have for hair loss, right? Now, once you have pressed the saran wrap onto your scalp, you are going to begin twisting each side of the saran wrap. Be careful not to actually pull and stretch out the saran wrap though, because that's actually counterproductive. What we're trying to do is create something that perfectly mimics your scalp shape. Now, as you can see, I am twisting both of the ends here, and we are going to actually tie this underneath the chin, like so. I'm doing it right now, which is why you need a lot of extra saran wrap. All right, now I have the saran wrap or the plastic wrap around the head and the scalp. Now this is something that if you have big ears and they are getting in the way, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a pair of scissors, right? And just kind of cut around them so that way the plastic wrap can actually be a little bit closer to your scalp. You'll see how that makes a difference. Just make sure that the plastic wrap kind of gets around your earlobes, so that way it is not pulling off the ears and instead can get a little bit closer to your scalp. Not a huge deal if you can't do this, but it will make the template just a tad tighter. So what you're gonna have to do now is take a Sharpie and 2 mirrors, one on the wall and one in your other hand, right? And you are going to start tracing your hair loss. This is gonna be the template for your hair system. Now we're gonna start by getting your front hairline where it should be. So the way that we look for the front hairline is we take about 4 fingers from the eyebrow. You'll see that I placed it at the very, very top of my nose, and I have 4 fingers right here, and that is actually where my hairline is. So on this unit, we are going to kind of follow suit, right? I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be a little bit high on this guy because he has a small forehead, but just for showing you, I have now marked where the front hairline should theoretically be on a normal human. It might be a little bit different for you depending on head size, shape, all these things, but if your fingers are proportional to your body and your forehead is proportional, then that will probably be the case. So what you're going to do is you're going to mark this place right here, and then you're going to be looking for the signs of your hair loss, right? So if this is the temple right here, you'll probably have some hair loss in and around this area. Now, you're going to need to use a mirror and another mirror in your hand, because as you look for where your hair loss is, you're going to have to circle around, right? And you're just gonna mark with your other hand, and it's gonna feel a little bit strange because you're going to be marking in the back of your head and you're not gonna be able to see very well, but you're going to have to use both mirrors or find a friend. This is the 2 ways that you can do it. And here's the thing, if you do mess up with marking it, it's okay. You can actually wash it off with some water and a cloth and try again. But for this sake, let's say that I'm using a mirror, and right now I'm beginning to mark off the template. See, there's a little bit of a bubble here. We don't want that, but we can get away with it for demonstrations purposes. So right now, I'm tracing where potential hair loss is on this gentleman right here. All right, so we've traced kind of that horseshoe shape, if you will. And we have the very front of the forehead right here and the hairline. So what you do is you just kind of gently dot and connect a semicircle right here, and then you can go back and you can trace. Now keep in mind, guys and girls, if you're watching this and you have recession or you want recession inside of your hair system, that this is something that you're gonna have to build into this template. This right here is a general young, very young, without any recession type template. This is what we call like a C contour shape, right? Now, this isn't for everyone, and if you want some more tips on that, there is videos online to search and how to get those exact shapes. But for this right here, we're just gonna stick to the basics. Now, what do you do with this saran wrap that's on your head that's marked, right? So this right here is where the packing tape actually comes into effect. What you're going to do is you're going to lay horizontal strips that overlay each other across this entire unit. And then after that, you're gonna go vertically. And you're gonna do that one more time. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like right now. And you wanna make sure that these strips are basically going past where your actual template lines are, quite a bit past. Doesn't need to be as long as the piece I just laid right there, but something a little bit more like this is good. And you'll see that I'm laying it down on top of the saran wrap, and I'm laying them down layer by layer. I like to use a packing tape and a machine kind of like this right here because it makes it very, very easy to do this fast. Some people use Scotch tape, but Scotch tape takes a little bit longer to do, so it's not my personal favorite, and packing tape is very strong. We do want this to be pretty strong when we're done with it because this is what we are going to use to make our template. Now, as you can see, I've switched directions, and now I am going forward as opposed to horizontally like I was before. So remember, these are overlaying layers that we are doing to give it integrity and some strength. Right, and you're gonna be doing this on top of your head. So it's gonna feel a little bit strange as you do this, but you're not gonna get any tape stuck to your head, I promise. And it doesn't need to be 100% perfect. You know, these are just a reference point to what your actual hair loss is. If you take off a little bit more than what you have for hair loss, like if the template is a little bit too big, you know, that is okay. It's okay if we accidentally shave off a little of our natural hair. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. It's just something that you're gonna have to work with. So now what do we do? Okay, so we've got this contraption, right? Well, now we can actually untie this right here, and we see what comes off is actually a very nice shell. And it's got the markings of what we are actually about to cut. And that's the next step. So make sure that you have a pair of scissors on hand. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to strip away the extra plastic. And I'm about to do that right now. So what you do is get a pair of scissors that are relatively sharp and that can cut through some plastic, and just go slowly. There's no rush here. And you're going to follow what you just marked with your Sharpie. It's okay if you kind of cut it in pieces and strip away some of the material. That way it's a little bit easier to manage here, but take your time and cut around it. And the beautiful thing about this is you can use this template for basically years to come. And you can use this template to send in to LaVivid if you want to order a custom system, or if you want to basically order stock systems. This is great to use. That way you can cut those stock systems with ease. It's very, very easy to use. It's a great system, and you can make even another template from this template. If you want to send in your template to LaVivid, I recommend that you actually keep another template kind of on file or with you, if you will. So what we see now is we actually have a template for this guy right here. Take a look at that. So it's perfect. It matches up with his scalp shape, perfectly contours to his head, and we know exactly what his hair system needs to look like. So now we can order a custom system, we can send this in, or we can cut down our actual hair to this shape.